Welcome to the Beat the Odds horse racing show. Today we're going to review the markers Mark Mile, the Jenny Wiley, the Lexington Stakes, and finally the Count Fleet Sprint Handicap, the Apple Blossom. Before we get into the show, I've got a fantastic deal on your next event tickets. Whether it's a concert, a sports game, or a horse racing event, SeatGeek is the best place to buy tickets. So if you're planning to catch a race, a concert, or any other live event, SeatGeek has you covered with great prices and an easy-to-use app. Just head over to SeatGeek.com or download the SeatGeek app and use Tow Horse Racing for $20 off your purchase of $50 or more. Don't miss out and enjoy the show. Starting at Keeneland, first up was the maker's Mark Mile. North America's top turf miler from last season just made his 5-year-old debut, and folks, he didn't just pick up where he left off, he raised the bar. Carl Spackler absolutely romped in the Grade 1 maker's Mark Mile on Friday at Keeneland. A 4¼ length demolition job that stamped him, once again, as the best turf miler on this continent, and maybe the world. Under a cool, confident ride from Flavien Prat, stepping in for the injured Tyler Gaffalione, Carl Spackler sat poised and relaxed off a modest pace. Northern Invader got an easy lead, but even 6 furlongs from home, you could feel it. Carl Spackler was just waiting to pounce. Coming into the far turn, Prat asked, and Carl Spackler answered like a jet hitting afterburners. He inhaled the leaders, exploded to the front, and in just a few strides, it was over. Integration ran a solid second, but he was running for silver. Honestly, when I turned for home, I wondered if I'd moved too soon, Prat said after the race. But he just jumped on the bridle. He was ready. Ready might be an understatement. Carl Spackler stopped the clock in 1 minute 36 seconds and 56 milliseconds for the mile over a turf course labeled good, but playing slow. He paid just $3.66 to win and looked worth every penny. Third went to Tricari, last year's 3-year-old turf star making his seasonal debut. Northern Invader faded to 4th, while Grand Aspen, fantastic again, and Silent Heart rounded out the field. Santorini and Seminole Chief scratched earlier in the day. Let's not forget, Carl Spackler is a homebred for E5 racing. By Lope de Vega out of Zendaya, this is a horse who overcame colic surgery last summer and still put together a massive 4-year-old campaign. For wins to Grade 1 South and nearly $1.2 million in earnings. And now, he might be even better. This was a world-class performance. Bob Edwards of E5 said it best, Chad and his crew have done a great job getting him ready, and if this is the beginning of Carl Spackler's 5-year-old season, good luck to the rest of the division. Keep your eyes on him. This could be a horse of the year type run. On Saturday, it was the fillies' turn with the Jenny Wiley, and we hope you cashed big. If you listened to the last episode, we gave out the winner and paid handsomely. Keeneland delivered a Grade 1 thriller on Saturday in the Jenny Wiley Stakes. It was Choisia, the Dubai shipper, who stole the show, but not without a side of controversy. Ridden by Louise Sees and trained by Simon Crisford, Choisia came into this $650,000 Grade 1 turf test looking to prove that her maiden form was no mirage. Mission accomplished. Sees gave Choisia a textbook ride early, broke sharp, tucked in beautifully behind Cajo Beach, who opened up with a wide but determined lead. Everything looked smooth until the real action hit the stretch. Cajo Beach drifted wide off the turn. Sees shot Choisia through on the inside, and just when it seemed like she was home free, here came Flavien Prat on excellent truth, saving ground, loaded, and looking for daylight. But just as Prat tipped out between Choisia and Cajo Beach, Choisia drifted right, impeding excellent truth's path. Prat had to steady, not hard, but enough, then ducked back inside and re-rallied for second. Game effort, but too late. The steward's silent no inquiry. Prat filed an objection. The result dismissed. Quickly, Sees defended the ride. When I came to the top of the stretch, I came out a little bit, but I don't think I bothered the other horse. Choisia held on to win by a half length, paying $15.66 to win and completing the mile and a 16th over a good course in 1 minute 42 seconds and 1 millisecond. Excellent Truth ran her heart out in her North American debut for Chad Brown, just a half length back in second. Cajo Beach, the pace setter, stuck on for third. Sacred Wish was fourth, followed by Poolside with Slim, Jabara, No Show Sammy Joe, and Be Your Best, who was never in it. Now here's the kicker, Choisia didn't even touch grass until her 7th career start. A 5-year-old homebred by Night of Thunder, she began her journey on the British all-weather circuit, then blossomed over the turf this winter in Dubai, a Group to Cape Verde win, then a brave second against Cinderella's Dream, and now her biggest triumph yet. Simon Crisford, once the racing manager for Godolphin, saw the fit. Flat, left-handed racing, maiden style, and now Keeneland style. Rather than send her back to England and hope the form held, he sent her to Kentucky, and just like that, Choisia became a Grade 1 winner. As for C's, he had more than just race strategy on his mind. I just tried to forget what happened 3 days ago. I'm so glad I'm here, I'm safe, and doing what I love. This was more than a win, it was a comeback story. We will finish Keeneland off with reactions from the Lexington Stakes. It's not every day a horse with just a career start walks into a graded stakes and walks out a Preakness hopeful, but that's exactly what happened at Keeneland this weekend. Gosger, the lightly raced but talented colt trained by Brendan Walsh, made a big statement Saturday in the Grade 3 Lexington Stakes. With Irad Ortiz Jr. aboard, he powered through the short stretch at Keeneland and left no doubt about his ability or his upside. The 3-year-old, owned by the family of the late breeder Harvey Clark, was coming off a maiden win at Gulfstream and stepping into stakes company for the first time. And though he's still green and growing, Gosger looked like a colt on the rise, rallying late to win by 2 lengths. Walsh was impressed, but cautious. He's still raw, he said. But today, he beat some good horses. He's not Derby bound. It's just too soon, but the Preakness? That's something we'll think about. The timing works, the Preakness is for weeks away, and Gosger clearly has room to improve. Walsh has been patient with him, giving him time after each start, and it's paying off. Let's talk about the race. Longshot Bracket Buster took them through the early fractions, 23.72 for the quarter, 47.62 for the half, while favorite Preater kept him honest. Gosger, sitting third, bided his time. When they turned for home, Ortiz tipped him wide, gave him a clear path, and the Nyquist colt responded. He really found his stride late, not surprising, given he's still maturing physically. Walsh noted that even in the paddock, he could tell Gosger is still filling out. There's more to come, he said, and that's exciting. Bracket Buster held second, a nice return after a long layoff, and could also be pointed to Baltimore. Preater, despite the tough trip, held on for third. Final time for the Myland is 16th? 1 minute 40 for seconds and 15 milliseconds on a fast track. Big picture, Gosger may have missed the Derby trail, but he might be just the kind of late developing talent that peaks at the right time. He's got the breeding, the connections, and now a graded stakes win under his belt. He's one to watch, not just for the Preakness, but for the rest of the 3-year-old season. That's the Lexington Stakes recap, and a possible glimpse at a new player for the second jewel of the Triple Crown. Be sure to follow us for all the latest as the Preakness picture comes into focus. Moving on to Oaklawn. Speed, we knew Booth had that, but this weekend at Oaklawn Park, the rising sprint star showed something even more impressive: guts. In Saturday's Grade 3 Count Fleet Sprint Handicap, Booth didn't just blast out front and cruise home like he's done before. This time, he had company every step of the way, with Grade 2 winner Anarchist breathing down his neck from start to finish. And when it was time to dig in, Booth did just that. The 4-year-old held his ground in a relentless stretch battle, then held off a flying finish from stablemate Rivet to notch his 3rd straight win and cement his spot as one of the top sprinters in the country. The final margin, 3/4 of a length over Rivet, with Anarchist a tough luck third just ahead behind. But the real story was the fight. Booth took heat at the quarter pole in the lane and still found more. Booth's performance was about more than flash, it was about resilience. He set sharp early fractions, 21.87 for the opening quarter, 44.66 for the half, and still had enough to stop the clock in 1 minute 9 seconds and 82 milliseconds for 6 furlongs on a fast track. Jockey Eric Asmussen said it best after the race: he didn't have it easy today. But his class came through. Even after a slightly sluggish break, Booth bounced right into the lead and never gave it up. Anarchist's rider, Kyle Frey, had a plan to keep Booth honest. He pressed the pace from the jump, saying afterward, "If I let him coast, it was over." So I stayed on him, but the best horse won. And that best horse is trained by none other than Steve Asmussen, who's made the Count Fleet his personal playground. This was his 4th straight win in the race, and 7th overall. He's also the man behind Booth's sire, Mitole, another elite sprinter who won this very race back in the day. Booth now boasts 6 wins from 10 starts, with over $760,000 in the bank. He runs for Bill and Corinne Heilig-Brot, Jackpot Farm, and Whispering Oaks, the same connections that campaigned Mitole. And the sky's the limit. With the kind of talent and heart Booth showed this weekend, don't be surprised if you see his name atop the sprint division rankings for the rest of the year. And finally, it's business as usual for the reigning queen of the track, Thorpedo Anna, who delivered yet another powerhouse performance this past weekend at Oaklawn Park. The 4-year-old sensation captured her 10th career win in just 12 starts, dominating the Grade 1 Apple Blossom Handicap and pocketing a cool $1.25 million purse. Trainer Kenny McPeak put it simply: she's a total pro, and you could see exactly what he meant. Carrying top weight in her first career handicap, spotting her rivals up to 7 pounds, Thorpedo Anna cruised to a 4¼ length victory. It was her 4th win in a row and 2nd straight of the season. Now get this, only a handful of greats have pulled off this race carrying that kind of weight. Names like Ledruska, Paisiana, and Susan's Girl, that's the level of company she's keeping. And she did it with style. After breaking sharply, jockey Brian Hernandez Jr. settled her just off the early leader, Wild Bout Hillary. The pace was hot early, -23 and change for the quarter, 46 and change for the half, but Thorpedo Anna was just biding her time. She made her move on the far turn, hit 6 furlongs in 1:11, and never looked back, stopping the clock for the mile and a 16th at 1 minute 40 for seconds and 27 milliseconds on a fast track. Hernandez said it best after the race: she decided when she wanted to go. I was just along for the ride. Free Like a Girl finished a distant 2nd, and Where's My Ring rounded out the trifecta, but all eyes were on the star of the show. A crowd of 40,000 turned out at Oaklawn, and you could hear the roar when her name was announced during the post-parade, and again when she strutted into the infield winner's circle under the spring sunshine. So what's next for the daughter of Fast Anna? McPeak says they're eyeing the Grade 1 La Troyan on May 2nd at Churchill Downs, just 20 days after the Apple Blossom. Not your typical spacing these days, but McPeak says if she's sound, she run. Owned by Brookdale Racing, Mark Edwards, breeder Judy Hicks, and Magdalena Racing, Thorpedo Anna now boasts 6 Grade 1 wins and over $4.8 million in earnings. She's not just a star, she's building a legacy. Make sure to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss an episode of the Beat the Odds Horse Racing Show. And as always, may your tickets be live and your bankroll thriving. We'll see you next time, and remember, if you ain't betting, you ain't living.
Now open! The Beat the Odds Horse Racing LLC store is officially open. With over 100 horse racing themed products, including shirts, hoodies, stickers, and more, you're sure to find something you love. Check it out now at www.tohr.com and discover your perfect match today. Don't miss out. Shop now and beat the odds.